Welcome to the School of Love, the place where miracles are normal. Hello and welcome to the School of Love, the place where we learn practical tools based on scientific research and our own experiences towards improving ourselves, living life to its fullest, and contributing to the best of our abilities to the world around us. I am Dr. Maria Grajdian, and I am a professor of media studies and anthropology at Hiroshima University. In my free time, I am doing my best to guide you in building up a life of contentment, joy, and fulfillment while applying lessons learned in school to overcome the difficulties, challenges, and insecurities of the real world. In today's video, I talk about toxic attachment in yourself. I include this topic in the series Things I Wish I Knew When I Was Younger, which refers to small videos on precisely that. Very practical tips, tools, and tactics which would have helped me tremendously when I was younger than today and much less experienced. These are ideas which I wish someone more mature than myself would have told me, not even explained to me, but just told me that they exist so that I become aware of a different way to look at the world. We all know those people who get attached too easily, too quickly, and then seem to want to control everything. Actually, they get attached in a non-healthy manner. But what if you are the one who gets attached in an unhealthy manner? In this video, I start with a definition of toxic attachment and some of its causes, and then I deliver a 5-step protocol which helps you learn to deal with your own non-healthy attachment and hopefully in time to heal at least partially, so that by the end of the video you will have a complete protocol for dealing with your own non-healthy attachment if you choose to do so. It has helped me tremendously, although it took years to improve and I still catch myself rushing into things. But at least I recognize it in myself and I am somehow able to deal with it. And now, first things first, that is two important disclaimers. The first disclaimer serves to strongly emphasize the fact that this YouTube channel, The School of Love, is not part of my educational and research activities at Hiroshima University. It is nonetheless part of my privilege, joy, and sense of duty to propagate and implement knowledge, information, as well as motivation and inspiration outside the limited framework of academic endeavors. Together, we can build up a better tomorrow for as many of us as possible. The second disclaimer relates to the fact that I am a trained musician and musicologist, not a psychologist, therapist, or counselor. The ideas I am sharing in my videos reflect my deep-going preoccupation with life, my own life and other people's lives, and express the results of my experiences, research, and for better or for worse, my failures, as well as my recovery from those failures. Recovery which is still ongoing. The ideas expressed in the videos on this channel named The School of Love cannot and may not and must not replace the consultation with specialists in whichever areas of your life you might have questions or you might struggle with. If you are new to the channel at this point, I would like to ask you to please consider subscribing, sharing, liking, commenting. Thank you very much. This helps us not only with that mysterious algorithm which seems to dominate the YouTube galaxy, but also with contributing to the expansion of the community of humans doing their best to impact positively the world and those around them by discovering their authentic selves and living life wholeheartedly. Thanks again. So what is toxic attachments or non-healthy attachment, to be a little bit kinder? This refers to that phenomenon when we meet someone, maybe with the romantic potential, maybe with friendship potential, or at the workplace, and we rush into things. We think, I've been looking for this person my entire life. It feels so familiar. It feels so close, but actually we hardly know the person. And what happens very quickly afterwards is that we try to control the person. We try to get hold of that person and to hold very tightly on that person so that eventually we end up suffocating them. So I was there. I was actually on both sides of this very unhealthy attachment pattern. I would either, so depending on the phase of my life, I was either completely shut down emotionally, so emotionally unavailable, in which case I would keep my distance from everything and everyone, or I would be in such need for validation, which I would extract from my interaction with other people, that I would rush into all sorts of interactions, as I said, both privately and professionally. And this has led down the road to awful heartbreak, meaning even in cases I interacted actually with genuinely kind people, they simply could not get rid of me, so to say, or uh, heartbreak caused by being both humiliated or manipulated or plain um, used to their own goals, which of course left me feeling depleted and empty. But as always, I think we have to take responsibility for our own lives, and dealing with such issues with non-healthy attachment in oneself is one of the most important things one can do in one's life. And as always, the first step would be to become aware of it, become aware of one's attachment patterns, and if you yourself get rush into things, rush into disclosing yourself to those you encounter maybe for the first time, watch for the tendency to overshare, which very often leads to so-called trauma bonding, in which we feel so connected with someone, but that person, in case that person is healthy, would actually pull away because they are just, it is way too much for them. Or in case that person is him or herself not healthy, and a very toxic dynamic will ensue, which essentially does not leave you any space anymore, and then everything becomes actually destructive and implosive. So becoming aware of one's own patterns of attaching oneself too quickly and then of trying to control the other persons is a is a crucial first step. And then the second step would be to find one's own trigger. So what exactly do we find in people to whom we attach very quickly? Anyone will notice that we have a type, or a couple of types, usually 1 to 3 types, which really trigger us. They feel so familiar. And as someone put it, if someone feels familiar, think about what familiar actually means to you. And in this case of non-healthy attachment, familiar usually does not breed anything good. So it's familiarity usually used to be something we knew, and it was safe, but it was deeply unhealthy, deeply toxic, deeply disturbing. But we hold for dear life to it because it's the only thing we actually know. And as I said, so connected to this trigger is actually something I have already mentioned, is we feel good. We feel good when we feel triggered because that familiarity which comforts us. Well, it kills us, but it's also comforting. And I believe it is very important to deal with it honestly, instead of just saying no, it's just I'm just trying to be friendly, or I'm just trying to be helpful. No, it's not. It actually is a tendency to trauma bond with someone who obviously triggers in ourselves things which are familiar, but as we know, familiarity kills, in most cases, in many cases. So becoming aware and then identifying what exactly triggers you to get so quickly attached to people, and what's the reward, the payoff you get from getting attached, from pursuing specific persons. So it's not so much about the attachment itself, but the pursuit of getting closer, finally I found a new home, so to say. Yeah, it's not parasitic because those who, like people like me, who used to get unhealthy attached, we didn't do it for our own benefit, just marginally, like we wanted that validation. Usually we got into situation in which we were badly abused and manipulated and ended up in fully disastrous, though predictable situations. And the solution to that is actually to take your distance, to take your time, to take your distance, to get to know the person in the first place, and in the meanwhile to keep yourself busy with healthy stuff like meditation, sitting with yourself So don't, to in order to, well, to observe this need to get attached to people, to observe this need for for external validation, and to do your best to find this need for validation within ourselves. So sitting with oneself, spending time in solitude, for people, for wounded bears like myself included, just sitting there with oneself, immersing oneself in solitude, yeah, voluntarily, and sitting with it, not finding ways to get busy all the time and to pretend that things do not matter or things are okay, and we just try to help, we just try to be there for others, we just try um, to be kind. No, that's actually the pretext. We're not there for others, we're there for our own, some sort of mental, emotional comfort and benefit, even if those in the short term they give us the dopamine rush, right? Well, I got a new friend, I got a good relationship, a good network. That's why I'm also, somehow, for people like me, networking in this networking events is not recommended. We cannot really rely on our human compass, and we really get involved with weird people. Although, so let's say among 1000 normal people, or 1000 participants, there will be maybe one or two weird people, and we actually get attached precisely to those weird people. That's why it's very important to be cautious, and then to be kind to oneself, and to be cautious and to sit with oneself. And so instead of rushing into attachment, rushing into relationship, sit with yourself in solitude. Choose solitude instead of this hormonal rush which comes from getting involved with all sorts of well, wrong people at the end of the day, right? Because normal people, they pull away as soon as they feel someone or sense someone's need for immediate attachment, immediate and very strong attachment. So I hope this helps. Thank you for joining me, thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to welcome you again very soon. Love and peace to you all.